Podcast.
I talk a lot about how important it is to have a relationship with your audience. When the people who are listening to you really care, that's when they're engaged. They're going to keep listening. They're going to tell friends. If you endorse something through an advertisement or sponsorship, they're going to purchase that. That's going to keep you with those advertising and sponsorship dollars. And right now, this is the entire U.S., I don't know, the half of the U.S. We're getting a lot of snow. Snowmageddon is coming. I've got a live radio show. There is an issue that I and a lot of other live people are facing. Will you be able to make it into the studio? Could I work from home? Yeah, kind of. But I'm going to have to pull in another engineer from another city. It's pretty wild to think about how big an operation that I'm working with is. So could I do it from home? I don't have the home kit, man. It's not like podcasting. There's a lot more involved. Anyway, this became a bit on the show that I'm working on. Will David be able to make it in on Monday? And an example of listenership that really cares, I had one guy say, well, look, man, if you can make it the day before, I got hotel points. It's right by your studio. I will get you a room. Had another guy, 18-wheeler, man, I'll come and pick you up. This thing can handle it. Had another guy, professional driver. He says, you call, I haul. I will get you there. These guys want the show. That is loyalty. That is relationships. That's the kind of thing that I talk about on this podcast. It's Big Podcast Playbook, the marketing podcast for podcasters. My name is David Hooper. You can find me at bigpodcast.com. I am in the middle of a series talking about, let's see how long this series is. 6 things that you need to do to beef up your podcast. These are core skills that you need to have in order to have those kind of relationships like I'm talking about. 1, core on mic skills. 2, content and writing skills. Those 2 episodes have already been released. You can find them in the feed. That feed is at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I've got one for iPhone. I've got one for Android. I've got an old-fashioned RSS feed. Whatever you want, I've got it for you. You can get those first 2 episodes. This episode, I'm talking about production skills. By the way, coming up, since I mentioned 6, 4, we're going to talk about show management and booking, what keeps the machine running. 5, growth and marketability skills, why opportunities come to you. One of them I just mentioned, you having a relationship with your audience. When you've got that, believe me, those sponsorships, those advertisers, they're going to come to you. And the 6th and final one, personal sustainability skills. That means what's going to keep you from quitting. A lot of guys quit, and it's very easy to quit, especially when you're snowed in. Oh man, do I have to go into the studio today? Or even just making time if you're working from home. You get busy, you get tired, you don't feel like podcasting. You're human. No matter how much you love podcasting, that's going to happen. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that today. Production skills. This is what keeps you independent. What I'm talking about here determines whether you can move forward without waiting on somebody else. I talked about bringing in another engineer, maybe having me host, having somebody on the board in a city that isn't snowed in. That's great, and it's even better when you can do it on your own. Sometimes that's having a contingency plan, the home kit, as I call it, having everything you need whenever you need it so you don't have to go somewhere else. For example, I talked about my 5x8 tricked out closet. I'm in it right now. This is a dedicated space for me. It is quiet. Close the door. It is a dead room. You cannot hear what's happening outside. That's part of your sustainability. That's what's keeping you independent. It's not necessarily a skill, but it's something you need to have for this first one, which is recording. Let's talk about your recording. Mic technique. A lot of people call themselves podcasters, but podcasting, that means, who knows what that means today? It means I'm on the internet usually. YouTube, TikTok, what I do, an audio-first podcast. The only guys that I see who really get this are the audio-first podcasters. TikTokers, a lot of them are using a phone to record. They're thinking more about video than audio. YouTubers, I met so many YouTubers say, I don't want the mic in the shot. They put the mic way far away, crank up the gain, and it sounds like they're in a cave. That's not a good listening experience. And even if you're on YouTube, you need to be aware that most people, when you have a long form podcast interview, a talking head video, they're not watching you. They are listening to you in the background. So you've got to have good mic technique. You've got to have good equipment and mics, but you've got to have room awareness, man. So many of these guys that are TikTokers, YouTubers, they go all around and they do various locations because the location being video is more important than it is for me, the 5x8 tricked out closet. I'm using theater of the mind. It doesn't matter where I am. I could be in the same place every single time. And it's good for me because I can control the environment. When you're out in the world, you can't do that. So you've got to have room awareness. That's going to be one of the things that's going to help you with your recording. A good mic, room awareness, and knowing how to get clean audio consistently. That means hold your mic up to your face, man. If you've got something like a Blue Yeti, instead of cranking the gain and putting it on the other side of the room, take that gain as low as it can go and get about 2 inches from the mic. You want to be a little offset. You don't want to be popping those P's. And this is what I talk about when I talk about mic technique. It's being on the mic, let's say a 45-degree angle. So you're not talking directly in it, but you are talking directly on it. Not popping those P's, getting that good signal so you can then edit it. What you don't want is a bunch of room noise coming through. Well, you sound like this. And I don't even know if this is even going to work as well because I'm in this treated room and it's pretty good, but it's not going to work as well as right now when I am on the mic. Second thing you need to worry about, and I mean worry about it, editing. Cut for clarity. That is my motto when editing. Perfection, I'm not trying to make it so perfect that it never gets released. I want it to be good, but if I do a fade in of music and it's 5 seconds instead of 10 seconds, it's not NPR style, I'm not worried about that as much. I do want the message to be clear, though. Cutting for clarity, not perfection. When it comes to editing, and this is a little bit different in radio than it would be for a podcast where you're not limited in the amount of show, the episode length that you can release. Radio, you're down to the second. With podcasting, you get a little more wiggle room. If you want to get good at cutting for clarity, put a time limit on there. Does it have to be down to the second? No, but you might find that that's actually enjoyable. I like it. I'm working on a couple radio shows now. One has to be 44:30 per finished hour, meaning we've got 15 and a half minutes of commercials per hour and promos. Is that crazy? Hey, man, talk radio. The other 54 minutes of content, 6 minutes of commercials. Down to the second. That's going to make you a better editor because it gets you focused on, does this really need to be here? If you're doing this, by the way, overshoot, you're not going to use everything in your podcast, even the ums, the ahs. Depending on how good a speaker you are, how good your guest is, that might be 5 minutes. Pauses. Let me check. Stuff that your listeners aren't going to care about and keeps you from having that fast-paced show that keeps the attention of a listener. So you're going to want to overshoot. For example, if I'm going for the 44:30, I might record 60 minutes. If I'm doing the 54-minute show, sometimes we'll record for 75, 90 minutes. Regarding your independence and your production skills, if you have ad breaks, you're going into an outro going into that ad break or an intro out of that ad break. Those are things that make it easy for you to get that to the second edit that you want. If you've got any music, for example, my show Music Business Radio, we will often play songs by the artist we are interviewing. Or if it's a record industry person, play songs by the artist that they've worked with. If I need 27 seconds, that's a pretty easy edit. Put in 27 seconds of the music. If I need 25 seconds, 24 seconds, 18 seconds, it doesn't matter. We can put clips in here or there, but the intros and outros are what most podcasters are going to do. Let me give you a couple of ways to do that. Let's say you're doing an interview podcast. You've got ad breaks. You've got your sponsors that you want to get in there. You got your interview. You're going through that. You want to get this thing to 54 minutes. You're a little bit short even with the ads. What I would do is I would do an outro going into that ad break. Hey, thanks for listening. This is Big Podcast Playbook. I'm talking to Joe Schmo about how to have a great podcast. He's given us a lot of food to think about. Here are my takeaways. 1, do this. 2, do this. And 3, do this. We're going to do a quick break. We got more from Joe Schmo coming back when we come back on this podcast, Big Podcast Playbook. Something like that. And if you need to do 5 things, put 5 things in there. If you don't have a lot of time, hey, that big takeaway I took from this is blank. We got Joe Schmo in the studio. More with Joe Schmo when we come back on this episode of Big Podcast Playbook. Something like that. Do 1, 2, 3. Mess around with it. Go longer if you need to, shorter if you need to. That's going to help you keep that natural rhythm. It gets people into the break. It lets people know you're going to come out of the break. And speaking of that, hey, it's David. We're back with Big Podcast Playbook. We got Joe Schmo in the studio. Last segment, we were talking about the one thing that you should do to have a better podcast. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. Boom, back into the interview. Make that edit there. It's like a writer with a novel or a movie. You ever had those movies that you watch and it all connects at the end? You're like, oh man, that's amazing. Well, they started with the end. That's how they made it all connect. You're doing the same thing with your podcast. You know that interview's going because you do that ahead of time. Then you go into the commercials, you come out of the commercials, you can tease that along, but you've got this omnipotence, knowing what's going to happen. You can tease that out, bringing the listener along. Oh man, I wonder what's going to happen now. You know it's going to happen now. And because of that, tease it even harder, then come in with it. Let's talk about basic audio engineering. Levels obviously are important. People ask me what I record at, and I'm looking right now at my meter, and I am about -12 to -9. I know a lot of people want to peak the thing out. That would be like -6 to 0. Anything above 0, you're going to clip. People say, oh man, you want the most you can get. No, you don't, because you need to have somewhere to go. You do not want very low levels, and a low level would be lower than what I'm talking about. I think -12 to -9, that's a pretty good sweet spot, because then you've got 9 decibels of power or gain or whatever it is. You can see, I'm not an engineer, man, but I know enough to get a good recording. You don't want it too low. You don't want it too hot. You want to have somewhere to go. So I'm recording right now, -12 to -9. Compression, EQ. Let me tell you how I'm recording this, and I'll tell you what I do on the back end as far as compression and everything else. I'm recording into an RE20, which is arguably the best mic for radio. This is the mic Rush Limbaugh uses. Terry Gross uses it. When you go into a radio studio, you're going to see one of two mics. It's either an RE20 or a Shure SM7B. A lot of podcasters, they like the Shure SM7B. It's better form factor, maybe. This mic, the RE20, looks like it's Soviet Russia from the 60s. But you're going for sound. You're not going for looks unless you're doing video. And even then, man, your sound is important. This looks like a radio mic. Like I said, Limbaugh uses it. Terry Gross uses it. It's one of two mics that you're going to find. I'm going into this mic. From this mic, I go into a cloud lifter. Do you need it? Probably not. It just lets the preamp work a little bit less. The preamp that I've got here, I've got a DBX 286S. I don't use it because of the amp. I use it because it's got compression, which kind of gives you that radio voice. It takes those soft sounds and bumps them up a little bit. It's got a little bit of a de-esser on it. I don't need it. It's got what they call an enhancer, which is, they call it low frequency and high frequency detail. The low is boosted just a touch, the high frequency just a touch. But what I really like about it, it's a gate. And a gate, also known as a noise gate, more or less, when I stop speaking, the whole thing shuts off. So if I've got an air conditioner in the background, it's not going to pick that up. If there's a little bit of rustle, it's not going to pick that up. It immediately, or almost immediately, we're talking milliseconds, cuts on, that gate opens up when I start talking. So that's a nice thing to have. It gets you a better recording. It's the DBX 286S. It's a piece of rack mount gear, maybe, I don't know, $200-300. It's not too bad. It's a powerhouse if you've got a room like I'm in, a tricked out closet, or even just a regular closet with clothes hanging, because that works too. The DBX will get you where you need to go. The interface I'm using, Focusrite Scarlett 4i4. Any of the Scarlett interfaces are great. The reason I've got the 4i4 is because I like the mix that comes out of my headphones to be different from the mix that goes into the backup tape. Backup tape, and it's not tape. Sometimes people say, oh man, you're using the word tape. That shows that you're behind the times and I don't trust you. No, it doesn't. It's like saying roll up your window. We don't actually do that. We press a button. We still call it roll up a window. We do the same thing with tape. It's digital. The Zoom F3. It's a 32-bit float backup recorder. And by the way, I record into Audacity. Afterwards, I run the thing through Isotope RX. I don't take any compression on there. I roll off the low end if there's any kind of rumble. Isotope RX, that's software, by the way, if I didn't make that clear. That tool is what voiceover people use to sound great. You can go as deep with it as you want to. I'm not going to do that today because I don't know. I've basically got to set it and forget it set up. The reason I'm able to do that is because the room that I'm recording in, this 5x8 tricked out closet, I know what I'm getting. I'm using the same equipment every time. I've got the same room every time. I don't need to tweak all my settings every single time. Basic audio engineering like that, have some basic equipment, basic software, that will get you far. Let's talk about your production workflow. File management, templates, repeatable systems. I talked about Isotope RX. I've got a template. I know the kind of recordings that I'm getting. I put that template on them. It makes them sound better. My process, record in the red room. That's my 5x8 tricked out closet. I call it the red room, even though it's gray, because I used to record red podcast here. I record into Audacity, take that Audacity file into Isotope RX. I edit in a different Audacity. I've got some studio monitors in my office, and then I'm good to go. Run the file through auphonic.com, not to change the sound of it, but to put it in M4A. I do that instead of MP3 format because I think the compression's a bit better. It gives me a smaller file with the same sound quality. I upload it through the host, and that's it. As far as episode notes, I love Cast Magic. It's an AI tool that will look at your transcript. It actually takes the audio, turns it into a transcript, looks at the transcript, and helps you with whatever you need as far as episode notes, bullet points, timestamps. That's part of the process. Upload it to the host, and then it's done. If you got these 4 things, the recording, editing, a basic understanding of audio engineering, and also production workflow, that will allow you to remain independent. I talked at the very beginning of this series, a couple of episodes back. And again, if you don't have that first episode, bigpodcast.com/subscribe. That will get it to you. Writing, prep, the pre-work that you need to do to get a good episode on tape. If you do that, then you record it well, you can edit it well, you understand how to get those levels, and you've got your workflow to get it out, you're good. Is it difficult at first? Maybe. If you're a first-day podcaster and I put you against another first-day podcaster, you're coming in with skills that maybe work or maybe don't work for you. If you've used a computer, you're probably better off than the person who uses a Selectric typewriter. You don't know what a Selectric is? Google it. The point is, you're coming in with skills that will probably help you and others that maybe are hindering you. Regardless, it's going to be a little bit weird at first, but you go through it and you do it again a little bit quicker and a little bit more efficiently. You do it again and again and again. You get more efficient, you get quicker. And next thing you know, you're doing a daily show. You're doing great edits. You're doing seamless transitions. You're cutting that ad in one take. It does not happen overnight. It happens when you show up. If you are that kind of person, you want to show up, you want to talk to other people who are showing up, I've got a community I call Big Podcast AMP. That stands for Audio Monetization Program. If you want to talk, connect, and learn from other podcasters who are working just as hard as you are, you want to take a look at Big Podcast AMP. It's bigpodcast.com/AMP. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. Go there for all the details. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm 3 in on this series. I got 3 more. I'm excited to be here with you. If you want to make sure you never miss an episode, I've already talked about it, but I'm going to remind you again. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. That is how to make sure you never miss an episode. I've got 3 buttons there. 1 for iPhone, 1 for Android, 1 is an old-fashioned RSS feed. As a podcaster, you know what that is. And if you don't, you will. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Go there now before you forget. Do subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Big Podcast Playbook.